This was my favourite moment of the game from Javi Simmons on Sunday that encapsulated everything that he is about as a number 10 and exactly why I think he will be a huge success in this league now that it feels like he has found his feet. That was his breakout Premier League performance. Yes, it's taken a while and yes, we've seen good performances up until this point. Brentford, where he got his first and only Premier League goal so far, but he registered his 4th assist of the season so far in the Premier League in this game, and it felt like to just shut the noise away, just to shut everyone up a little bit, to calm everyone down, to calm the talk around him down. He needed to do it on a Sunday 4:30 Super Sunday Premier League game on Sky for everybody to see just what this kid is all about. In the 85th minute of the game, using his energy to win the ball back, force a turnover, high up, Spurs going for the win, a much better attitude in that second half, and Xavi Simons was the catalyst for a lot of it, alongside Thomas Frank's tactical changes. And this moment from Javi Simmons nearly led to that winning goal from Wilson Odobert. That is what I absolutely adore about Javi Simmons' game. Welcome back to the Bowman YouTube channel. I hope you guys are doing very well. Apologies for the slightly late tactical breakdown on this. Obviously, deadline day was yesterday. It was not very busy for Spurs, but it was obviously busy for me. We're going to go through the game from a tactical perspective. We're going to talk through what shifted in the second half to allow Spurs to create 2 big chances, have 5 shots on target, have the same amount of shots as City, get 10% more possession than they were getting in the first half, why we were so passive in the second, and what made us so much better from the first half to the second half as well. We're going to talk about the tactical changes and the shift in personnel that inspired Spurs' shift in momentum as well, with the substitutions at halftime and later on throughout the game. But if you are new to the channel, please do subscribe for me. It'd mean a lot. It's free. It only takes a couple of seconds. Just click that little button down there for a lot more content coming. I'm going to be way more active on YouTube over the course of the next few months. I want to make this a really good Spurs community, vibrant platform for all of us guys to come together, have a chat about Spurs. Now we'll come to Javi Simmons' performance in detail as we get later on the video, but we have to start with why Spurs were so easy to play through in that first half. The positive stuff is coming, guys, don't worry, but we need to learn from these mistakes that we are making in these games, because if we play like we do in the second half, in a lot of first halves of these games that we've been having, this has become an all too familiar pattern really with Spurs in kind of recent weeks. Start off slowly, kind of too passive, easy to kind of play through, individual mistakes on top of that as well. And in the second half, when there's almost nothing to lose, we try to turn things around. And I think we got just rewards from the game, don't get me wrong, but this can't keep happening. Otherwise, better teams than Man City, who aren't at their best this season, who helped let us back in as well as the pressure that we put on them, and we can't take anything away from Tottenham, will not allow us back in the same way. We've made it far too easy, and we're going to go through some examples of this. We made it far too easy for City to play through us. We were outnumbered in midfield. Obviously, we were setting up with the 3 at the back with Basuma and Gallagher in midfield. City obviously operating with kind of a 3-man midfield. O'Reilly was often the spare man, being allowed to pick up a lot of space. Rodri, his ability to be calm on the ball and manipulate the space that Tottenham were leaving to play those passes through the lines. Silva and Rodri and Cherky kind of coming inside in the pitch as well, at times dragging those Spurs midfielders apart to create the space for City to play through. It was wave after wave of City attack because of other things that we'll come on and talk about as well. But we're going to talk about how easy we were to play through here. As obviously you can see Spurs, the principles are better in the sense that you look at Tottenham looking to operate an aggressive kind of high press, Solanke, Moani and Simmons kind of trying to shut the ball down there. It goes out to Mateus Nunes, but they're able to bypass the midfield in Basuma and Gallagher with one pass into Haaland, and they were able to do this so often, City, where they would get a 2v2 situation with Haaland and Semenyo up against Romero and Paulinho, or Romero and Dragusin. Haaland able to come out there and they just play through us, and look, Haaland plays that ball through to Semenyo. This is in the first couple of minutes of the game, and they're away, and Semenyo gets a shot at goal. Again, Spurs, principles kind of in the right frame of mind with the aggressive press. You've got 6 men up there trying to win the ball back, almost man-to-man. Rodri's got that space kind of in the middle, a bit of a hybrid pressing system. They go out to Kushinov, who's able to play that ball through the lines to Rodri, and then it's one pass, and again, they're away. Dragusin intercepts this one, but it's far too easy for them to play through. And again, they've got that kind of spare man in midfield. Dragusin comes in to intercept. Again, Rodri, Bernardo Silva. O'Reilly here receives the ball into feet. You can see Gallagher is the one that kind of jumps up to him. But look at where Bernardo Silva's going. It's very easy for them to kind of play through our midfield. Little bounce pass into O'Reilly and then into Bernardo Silva. This is just after the first goal, as you can see, with Bissouma carded. And then O'Reilly makes the run off the midfield and Bernardo Silva can play it into him. He can turn, and then City, again, don't necessarily make the most of this situation, but O'Reilly can then feed that fast through to Semenyo. There's too big of a gap between the forwards and the back line, creating a lot of space in midfield for City to play through the lines. O'Reilly often that spare man, as I said. Semenyo cuts it back. Nothing really comes of it. Again, Spurs' midfield getting dragged apart here with Bissouma coming out to this side, allowing City to find that space in the middle. Núñez plays it through the lines into Haaland, who's able to come and drag Dragusin up from centre-half. Haaland then pops it off to Bernardo Silva. And this is the thing. When City have got the technical players that they have got to be able to play in tight spaces and run onto teams, look, they've bypassed our midfield. Romero has to jump out. Romero not playing at his best in the first half. Obviously, he's been playing and battling through illness. He jumps. And then Haaland's isolated 1v1 against Dragusin. Again here, Rodri, this time being allowed too much time and space on the ball, kind of showing him too much respect. Again, look at the space that Bernardo Silva is in here between the lines. Again, our midfield split open with Gallagher jumping up to press Bissouma a little bit deeper. Bernardo Silva can take the ball on the half turn. And again, City are basically in a 2v2 situation with Semenyo and Haaland facing up against Dragusin and Romero. Very, very dangerous. Too easy to play through for Tottenham, leaving two very strong players in transition, too much time and space. Again, another example of it here. And when this should be a lesson to Spurs in terms of recruitment for goalkeepers, because distribution is such a huge factor, right? Because when Spurs do play with a more of an aggressive press, as we were doing, like I said, which was the same sort of principles that helped us get that victory at the Etihad, but we weren't able to execute it in the same way because of the shape and the fact that City were able to constantly kind of find that outball and spare man. When they go back to the goalkeeper here, Donnarumma's inch-perfect pass is able to find Rodri. But again, look at the acreage that he is in, totally bypassing Tottenham's midfield. Dragusin also jumps up here to kind of get involved in the press. It's all very disorganised. And then Rodri is able to play that ball over the top to Semenyo. And once again, they are in a 2v2 situation against Paulinho and Romero. Now, one of the other big problems that Spurs had in that first half that we were able to rectify in the second is that we were often going direct, but we weren't really getting City to face their own goal. It was all too comfortable. City obviously play aggressive. They play with that high line, and with Mawani and Solanke, we weren't able to kind of spin and get them running in behind that Man City defence. But also, when Spurs did go direct, is there was no one anywhere near close enough to Solanke and Mawani to pick up the second balls. Now, again, look at the space between the two number 9s. Mawani and Solanke kind of dovetailed as number 9s at points, but it was kind of with the setup of Mawani and Simmons as dual 10s, but it was more Simmons having the licence to kind of drop deep and roam over to that left-hand side, but also come centrally. So often, these two were kind of playing as a pair. Now, there was no midfielder getting anywhere near close enough to be able to help win these second balls. Gallagher, restricted by the system, couldn't really do it. And again, City were then able to just retain possession and then pip-pop all the way through the lines once again. Spurs, again, another example here going direct. Paulinho down to Gray. Again, no one anywhere near close enough to Solanke. Mawani and Solanke often, a lot of the time, are kind of on the same line. So the ball, often with Solanke facing his back to goal or a defender facing forwards towards the play, the ball's kind of always going to end up coming this way. So there's no one in here, Gallagher, Bissouma, kind of anywhere near quick enough to kind of win these second balls. So again, City just would get possession back. Again, another example here where Spurs play out Bissouma in here, a lot of sideways and backwards stuff. Again, Paulinho goes over the top, looking for Solanke and Mawani, but again, there's not enough quality to get the ball over the top. It comes into them, and again, there's no one anywhere near close enough at all for Solanke and Mawani to kind of play off. And again, City, another great example of it. City just able to retain possession, retain control, and play the ball through the lines and bypass our midfield, which is what they were able to do all day. It was so easy. Spurs just kind of playing into Man City's hands. Now, second half, we're not going to go over the City goals in detail, really, because it was just a lot of individual errors. Spurs not being able to really kind of play out of City's press for the second one. It's a poor ball from Dragusin. Systemic issues there as well. Bissouma, for the first goal, gives the ball away. Dragusin doesn't get quick enough out to commit to Shirky. But I want to talk about the positives, because there was a lot of positives from that second half. And a lot of it came from that shift in shape to this kind of 4-4-2 with Sarr and Simmons quite narrow, Udogie almost overlapping as a left winger, Gray slightly more reserved in his approach, but this 4-4-2 shape in and out of possession, really, especially out of possession, was able to help Spurs a lot. Now, there was a lot of reasons why this kind of 4-4-2 and change in approach helped. Obviously, we got an extra man straight away into midfield, which meant that we weren't getting overloaded. anywhere near as much. Gallagher came into his own, his ability to kind of get higher and win a lot of those second balls and get closer to the strikers, as we saw for Solanke's second goal, which we'll go on to in a minute. I think a lot of the reasons as well, or a lot of the reason that we were able to kind of gain a lot more control. Sarr brought energy, as did Gallagher, kind of made the game frantic and chaotic, and City were panicking. Sarr was also closer to the forwards for support and gave us a better opportunity to retain possession. And when we did go direct, unlike we did in the first half, that out possession shape did immediately stop City from kind of getting the same amount of space in between the lines. But I think Sarr offered us something more in possession as well. There were countless times actually in the first phase of the second half where, in this almost right wing position, Sarr would come short. He'd offer more of an option to Gray. Gray came into his own a little bit more. He's playing from a deeper position. He's not as kind of high and wide where he can't really operate as a wing back. He's better kind of making these runs from deep. But also kind of Sarr coming over here to help support him dragged a lot of City players over to this side. And because they've kind of got that narrow shape, Spurs were then able to move the ball a lot quicker because of that extra man and get these overloads with a doggy kind of moving high and wide on this left-hand side into that kind of space. And we saw that here. Sarr dropping short for Gray. Gray able to kind of get forward. Gray whips this ball into the box. Mawani, again, Simmons closer to Mawani and Solanke here for to pick up the scraps on the edge of the box. But look how committed City over. Look how kind of City leaning way more over to this left-hand side. There's a lot of space kind of over here. Simmons deals with it quickly, gets the ball before Rodri. A doggy in a lot of space, City shifting over, and Spurs able to create that chance. And again, another example of it here, where Paulinho moves the ball over to Gray. Again, you feel a little bit more commitment in that second half. Gallagher actually asking for the ball. But Paulinho goes to Gray. He moves forward. Sarr again offering him an option, that little bounce pass here coming short to help Gray move out and move up the pitch. Gray comfortable inverting into midfield, as we saw for Leeds from that inverted right back position a lot of the time. Comfortable playing in the centre of the pitch. And again, look at the space that Udogie's in where he can kind of run into here. Spurs just being able to move the ball quicker, exploit City's very kind of narrow shape with all these guys in here in this kind of middle phase of the pitch. That is an awful drawing, but you can kind of get the picture. Look at the space and they are leaving on that left-hand side. Udogie then able to get to the byline. Look at the amount of bodies that then are committed in the box for Spurs as well. We're just getting players higher up the pitch and getting them up quicker. 4 players in the box there, not quite able to create an overload. But again, look at Gallagher. These are the positions that he thrives. It comes back out to him. I say he thrives, he spoons it over the bar. But the more times that we were able to get Gallagher kind of arriving from deep into those positions, he will show more quality from the edge of the box. It was just a lot better, a lot more commitment from Tottenham. And because of these tactical changes, Sarr's role, I think, has gone a little bit unnoticed because a lot of people are talking about Conor Gallagher. And rightly so, by the way. Gallagher had a good second half. Again, I talk about men getting closer to Solanke. You see it with Sarr here straight away in the early stages of the second half. Ball comes up from Udogie. Sarr's right up there with him. This is kind of our out of possession shape. Again, not as much space. Spurs really limiting the space to play between the lines through with that kind of 4-4-2 out of possession shape. So it made us a lot more structured, a lot more secure, obviously, but also made us a lot more of a threat going forward. But also a man that was the catalyst for that turnaround with his individual quality was Xavi Simmons. Now, we went through in the video that we made after the game the other day, the leader for stats in this game pretty much across the board. He had the most amount of touches, won the most amount of duels, won the most amount of possession back as well, was fouled the most amount of times as well. And if we kind of go on to FOTMob, we'll be able to see that in a little bit kind of more detail. With the stats, completed the most amount of dribbles in the game as well. Created 4 chances, was having a lot more shots as well in this game as well. He just really kind of came into his own, touching the opposition box. Successful 83% successful dribble percentage, passes into the final third 9. We were just seeing him do a lot more of what we want to see. And if you like FOTMob, it's a great football website, great app that I use all the time for these videos. Also use it on my phone. Then make sure to click the link in the description to download it to get a piece for yourself. And you can win a free Tottenham Hotspur shirt. All you've got to do is download the app using that link. Once you've downloaded it, go to the settings page, scroll down all the way to the bottom, you'll see a button that says redeem code. Type in the code GOAL. You'll be then taken to a landing page where you enter your personal details, how they can contact you, etc. It closes on March the 10th. That's as simple as that. All you've got to do, download the app, use that code, and you'll be able to win a free football shirt. But also enjoy FOTMob. It's such a good app and a lot of in-depth stats, as we can see there for Javi Simmons. But again, Javi Simmons was doing a lot of things right in the first half, but it wasn't necessarily just coming off for him. And now you can see him here, again, leading that press, winning the ball back high up the pitch. He's so aggressive, and I feel like he's now really starting to cope with the intensity of the Premier League and the pace of it as well, and the physicality. It's something that I never thought he'd struggle with long term, because I remember doing a podcast with Flav and Kish when we first signed Xavi, and one of the things that I spoke about from watching a lot of him over the years and also kind of brushing up on combinations, etc., closer to the time of signing him, is that he really embraces physical contact. He does not shy away from it whatsoever. And yes, the Bundesliga might be slightly less intense, but I think he's got the attitude to then take him to the top and translate it to the Premier League and the speed of the game over here. Now, Spurs were able to force turnovers at times, and like I said, the principles were okay from Frank out of possession in terms of trying to win the ball back up the pitch, but it just didn't work because you're playing against a team that is comfortable and calm under pressure. We've shown in the reverse fixture that we can force turnovers, as we did in this situation here with Javi Simmons kind of being the catalyst and leader for that, but we were often leaving ourselves too exposed. It was obviously quite risky, and we had no real in-possession game plan. But again, Xavi here loses it by trying to dribble through the players and make something happen, but his ability to kind of get across, cutting off there to try and win the ball back, leads to Conor Gallagher then getting fouled because of the pressure that Xavi has put on. Xavi again coming deeper to help support Spurs and build up down this left flank. The use of his body, the way he manipulates players, I think is excellent, and you can see that here. He's got Nunez on ice skates, the little dummy round him, and then a lovely outside of the foot pass through to Kolo Muani here. And Spurs can then attack on the break. Didn't really have enough numbers up to hurt Man City, but it's good from Xavi in that situation. Again, Spurs forcing Donnarumma to kind of go long. Haaland, again, too much space for City to kind of win the second balls, but Xavi is in there straight away, a live wire to it, gets in there and looks to make something happen, drives away from Bernardo Silva. Now, this has happened too many times with Xavi sometimes, where he takes a little bit too long to make the decision. It happened for the Kolo Muani disallowed goal against Aston Villa as well in the FA Cup, in a similar situation here, where Xavi actually picked the ball up in the middle of the pitch, drove, and just took a little bit too long and delayed his pass, and the goal was offside. Again, just Muani straying offside. He's got to hold his run a little bit as well, but can Xavi fire that off earlier? But again, these are the areas that you want him picking up, and it's refreshing to see that he is showing more confidence to win that ball back and get into these kind of zones and situations. Really good from him. It does force the cutback, like I said, but obviously the flag goes up for offside. Again, Romero kind of steps up here to win the ball back for Spurs in one of those dangerous situations that we spoke about earlier, but Romero wins it back. And these are the situations that you want Xavi in here. Spurs on the counter-attack. I think he demonstrated his ability to play against a settled block, as we saw for Solanke's first goal, to try and find that space in behind, to create things against a team that is defending, but also he showed his ability in transition, and he showed his tireless work out of possession to help Spurs win the ball back and force turnovers. Romero finds him. Xavi dribbling here. I thought his weight of pass was a lot better in this game as well, Javi Simmons. Like, that's something that I think he's struggled with a little bit in recent weeks, not quite getting those basics right, but that was a lot better from him on Sunday. Finds it, Muani gets it back to him, and I think here, can you just get a shot off a bit quicker? Can you make something happen a little bit quicker? That's been a little bit of a criticism of mine, and around Florian Wirtz, I think, as well. That they just, that's something that, look, there's not many options necessarily from here, but I think he could have potentially opened his body up and got a shot off it in this situation a little bit early. There's another example of it. He ends up losing the ball and City turn it over. But the second half from him, I just thought was sensational. Now, the first half, again, I didn't think he was doing much wrong necessarily, but the team was so dysfunctional. But what I like about what instantly changed in that second half, one with Sarr coming on, another runner to add to this team, to actually get City facing their own goal, which is something that we weren't doing, but also Xavi's speed of thought here to quickly play that ball and get City facing their own goal. Takes a quick free kick, Sarr makes the run, and Spurs immediately doing a lot of things better, leads to a crossing situation from a doggy that's cleared away. Xavi, again, from a defensive point of view, helping out here as well. Bernardo Silva whips the cross in. Xavi takes it under control, flicks it over the head of Ryan Cherki, and then can get away and get Spurs up the pitch. Again, wins the second ball. His tenacity to help out and win second balls, I thought was fantastic. Paulinho, again here, I thought he had a good game from centre-half. I thought Dragusin as well got better in the second half as well, which is definitely worth a mention. But he steps in, jumps up, thwacks into Ait-Nouri, wins that ball back. And again, you're seeing Xavi here demanding it. Give me the ball straight away. Give me the ball. Now, I want it. You can't really see it because it's too far over the screen. But you can see here, give me the ball. Gets it. And again, these are the situations where he can really thrive. And look, straight away, you've got runners. Get City facing their own goal. Spurs turning over a lot more energy and impetus. Sarr, Gallagher, getting forward. Paulinho joining the attack. Let's get back in this game. And Xavi was leading that. He plays the ball out in the channel into Muani. It ends up going out for a goal kick. But again, it's him a better weight of pass. And again, you can see how dangerous he can be on transition. Again, we see him out of possession here, going straight over to Nunez to win the ball back That's exactly what he does. Flicks it over him. And then here, little drop of the shoulder to open up the space. Driving into the middle of the pitch. Again, he's got a striker in Solanke that he can actually kind of create and combine with. Xavi does get fouled a lot. He won the most fouls in the game. This actually wasn't given, surprisingly. But again, he's got a player to combine with and get the give and go. And if he was able to stay on his feet or not get fouled there, then he's running into the penalty area. And again, you just see it there. Men committed. Sarr closer to the strikers, looking to make those runs in behind. And Xavi was the heartbeat of everything good in the second half from an attacking point of view for Spurs. Again, Simmons taking the ball there, with the doggy kind of going round on the overlap. He's able to get dangerous crosses in from this position, from that kind of half space as well, which is something that Thomas Frank does like. But Solanke, again, making that run in behind, stretching that City defence. It's an inventive cross from Simmons that just doesn't quite get to Solanke, but the ideas are in the right place. Again, now you can see with the substitutions, the shape with Odeberg kind of coming on, Tell kind of going into that front two. Spurs kind of operating with this 4-4-2 out of possession, again limiting the space between the lines for Man City as they look to play through, and they do that time at Spurs, win it back with Sarr, and then Simmons can turn the ball over and drive and drive and drive. And this is what he does. Drives at the heart of this Man City defence. This is at 2-2, and we'll come on and talk about the goals in a sec, but I want to highlight Javi Simmons' performance from now. There's a lovely little dummy and kind of fake from him actually to open up even more space here as he kind of just like dummies and fakes to open it up. And again, times it well, waits for the right moment for Odeberg. Passes a little bit behind him, but still carves out a good shooting opportunity for Odeberg, and that could have made it 3-2. Again here, Spurs able to use the space on that left-hand side. Udogie now kind of coming into this central position with Tell going out wide. Spurs, the same sort of principles here, able to manipulate City's narrow shape and create overloads into Udogie. Simmons says, give me the ball, I'll take over. You start making this run in behind to stretch them. Oh, wrong button. Udogie, you start making that run in behind to stretch them. The ball goes out to Tell as well then, who's able to isolate Nunez 1v1. Xavi waits back kind of in this pocket here where he knows he can affect things with either a half-space cross or a shot. Udogie getting into the box again, much more fluidity in this system, just committing numbers forward, much better principles. 3 in the box. Tell in these situations, I think he's good. 1v1 versus the fullback because he can cut in and shoot, get to the byline cross. He's good in those wide areas, even though he's not a 1v1 specialist necessarily. But he plays it back to Simmons here, and this would have been his crowning moment. Shot. Donnarumma makes a really good save after the deflection. He deserved that goal, but he was the catalyst for getting Spurs back into the game as well as that change of shape. Now we see the first goal and another bit of Xavi's inventive kind of brilliance, and again summing up what Spurs kind of did better here in the second half, just moving the ball quicker. Sarr and Gallagher one-touch play to again kind of open up the space, moving the ball a lot quicker, back into Sarr, now back into Bissouma who can turn, and again you can start to see Spurs, the same thing, getting a bit of an overload on this left-hand side with the space that City are leaving. Simmons in acres over here, demanding the ball, give me it, please. Bissouma plays it into Udogie, who again turns into the kind of centre-back in possession. Ball goes out to Xavi here. And again, you can start to see Solanke, as soon as Xavi gets the ball, he's thinking, oh, I'm going to get in behind here. Delays his run a touch to make sure he stays onside, and then he's gone. It's a beautiful pass, Trivela, outside of the foot from Xavi. Brilliant from him, showing his confidence to be able to kind of try something like that. Solanke gets in, and Solanke I thought was excellent that second half as well in terms of giving us a focal point, that presence up front, just a brilliant centre-forward display. But look how strong he is here as well to create that separation from Kusanov. I think, obviously, everyone's going to wax lyrical about his second goal, and rightly so, but I thought this was excellent centre-forward play from him to shove off Kusanov, create that space, the little chop back onto his right foot. Yes, I think it might be a foul. Yes, I think he might get a little bit lucky. But he gets his rewards for good centre-forward play. And again, Xavi just fantastic with that outside of the foot pass. And now the second goal. I mean, just how many Puskas award winners do we want at this stadium, right? Vicario goes long. And again, although there's no man, it doesn't find anyone up there. Spurs players just a lot more alive to the second balls. A lot more men committed to try and win that ball back in the second half. And this is Gallagher's bread and butter. This is his bag. He gets in, wins it, takes it away from O'Reilly. It's a good cross. Again, we want Gallagher higher up. We want him in the final third affecting things because he can use that energy to win the ball back and cross and make things happen. That's exactly what he's good at. Again, just away from the finish for a second. More numbers in the box for that cross. But Solanke, I mean, this is just absolutely incredible. A piece of brilliant invention. And that's 4 goals in 3 starts now. He makes such a difference to the team, that focal point. I just hope as we get more functional as a team, hopefully, Frank can kind of learn from what we did well in that second half. We can start games better with the right intent, be more aggressive, be more on the front foot. Solanke's scoring goals at the moment. His link-up play and everything, it just makes us a much better team. Like, that floor of the team can raise with the individual players that are coming back and have come back. Frank just needs to tweak his kind of tactics and ideas to make us far less passive and make us far more aggressive and show more intent. Because these games that we've got coming up, like, obviously the fixture list, it is quite scary, but we can still hurt teams if we play like this. Like, this is Man City. I know they're not quite at their best at the moment, but, you know, I just thought it was so much better. And finally, let's finish on Conor Gallagher there, because obviously he had such a big part to play in that second goal. Again, you can see Spurs here a lot harder to kind of play through. Rodri tries to find Shirky between the lines here, but Gallagher in there intercepting it, does well, and then Spurs can set up an kind of counter-attacking situation. Again, Gallagher, another example of him being alive to second ball. City tried to play out. Sarr wins it back, and Gallagher straight onto it, driving forward, plays that ball through to Mawani. It was much better from Gallagher. It was his best display. You want him further forward, affecting things. He is in there, alive, winning the second balls, and he is a shot in the arm, I think, to this team, despite the fact that he's been a little bit underwhelming so far. So, Thomas Frank's tactical tweaks, Javi Simmons' individual brilliance was the catalyst for Spurs kind of getting back into that game. And we just need to see these principles deployed more consistently to get results and hopefully just make it a bit of a feel-good, better factor around Tottenham, because there is a team, Len, under all this mess. It's a good team here. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like it for me. Make sure to please subscribe to the channel as well, and I'll see you in the next video. Big videos to come this week. We are going to be doing that squad audit now the transfer window is closed. I'm going to do a video on who actually is James Wilson. I want to talk about Tottenham's best 11 moving forward as well, with the players that we've got out, what we can kind of learn from this game and this setup. So if you want to see all that content, then please make sure to subscribe. And we'll be back obviously at the weekend for Manchester United. I'll be at the game as well. So yeah, up the Spurs.